pro national champion of the 10-stop Budweiser Jet Sports Tour. A young, sometimes eccentric Arizonian named Chris Fischetti has chased the elusive title since the mid-'80s. He caught a glimpse of glory in '91, winning the Scat Track World Finals, and finished second on the Bud Tour in 1990. But second place is first loser in his book. Today, entering stop number 3 of this year's tour, Chris is in command of the prestigious Pro Runabout 785 class. Stay with us for what could be the year of the Flying Fish at stop number 3 of the Budweiser Jet Sports Tour, the West Coast Performance Nationals, co-sponsored by Nissan 4x4 Trucks from Santa Barbara, California. Welcome to Santa Barbara, California, stop number 3 of the 1995 IJSBA Budweiser Jet Sports Tour, the West Coast Performance Nationals, co-sponsored by Nissan 4x4 Trucks. Hello again, everyone. Todd Harris along with Chuck Kuntz. And Chuck, if you've been watching this tour at all, you may think it's a Kanamori Sheldon show, but the man who has not won a moto yet is our overall leader in Chris Fischetti.
Chris Fischetti atop the leaderboard and doing it totally on consistency. Not one moto win yet, but the fish is on top.
Another interesting story. The names we thought would probably be there at the start of the year, guys like Chris McCluggage, Bo Dupriest, having some problems.
Boy, are they ever having problems, and Dupriest's problems just keep on multiplying. Comes into the season riding basically what he calls a stock boat. This week he shows up with a full modified package ready to go racing, and guess what? Bo doesn't make the main event.
All right, it should be interesting. Before we get to moto number 1, let's check in the pits with Larry Rippenkroger. Larry?
Thanks, guys. Well, I've just returned from talking with Bo Dupriest, and I learned why he had not qualified in that earlier heat race. It's as simple as this. An aftermarket titanium drive shaft, very lightweight, but unfortunately this one-piece drive shaft turned into a two-piece drive shaft. Consequently, he had to ride the LCQ, last chance qualifier. Luck wasn't much better there. Bo Dupriest surprisingly out of the main event here this weekend.
Well, Bo Dupriest made it 5th overall on what he called the stock boat, a great accomplishment there, and we're not short of talent on the line for either of our motos today.
The 2 qualifying races today were outstanding. In the first qualifying race, Team Kawasaki just stormed to the front with Kanamori and Victor Sheldon. In the second race, Tom Bonacci chased Chris Fischetti all over the race course and settled for that second place finish.
Bonacci gets second, Fischetti gets first, but that's a heat win, not a moto win, and moto wins are where the gold's at.
Well, from the qualifying system, you have to race 2 motos. You combine the results of both motos to determine the overall finish for the day in your class.
We are set here at Ledbetter Beach State Park, Santa Barbara, California. We've got another great course, Chuck.
Again, Glenn Bothwell and the IJSBA race teams put together a fantastic race course. You get off of that starting line, head around that big right-hand sweeper, and immediately you're staring at the split. You take the inside line or the outside line, whichever is your preference, brings you down to the front straightaway. You transition across that front straightaway, hang a quick right, a quick left, and then you're into a real tight hairpin section of the course that is going to be a real interesting place for passing.
With the business now being taken care of, the fun begins. Pro Runabout 785, moto number 1 on the line. This should be a good one, Chuck.
With the beach brake right underneath the starting rubber band, this is going to be interesting. It just flattens out enough. Joe Jose lets him release the rubber band. They're off, and it looks like Victor Sheldon moving up from that number 3 spot, getting around that first turn buoy, and Victor Sheldon with a whole shot takes the number 1 spot.
Victor Sheldon claims the number 1 position going into that first turn, but right behind him, Chris Fischetti as they come up on the split section. Victor up to the outside, and Chris Fischetti goes inside.
Fischetti taking that inside line, working it real tight. Victor Sheldon to the outside. The inside line has been the favored line, or the faster line, all day long in qualifying through the course. Victor out for that outside, and it worked for Fischetti. Fischetti goes to number 1.
So the Flying Fish picks off the green flag. Victor Sheldon settles in second place right behind him. And Chuck, you pointed it out, the inside line was a little quicker.
Fischetti made it work and worked real well, working his way around, and that's odd. He just took a strange look at the boat, but the boat seems to be working all right as he stretches that lead over Victor Sheldon.
Chris Fischetti making his way to the back stretch. The boat does seem to be hooking up just fine. He's got Victor Sheldon right behind him, and behind him, you've got Minoru Kanamori.
Boat number 300, the West Coast Performance Rocket Ship Racing, Sea-Doo XP, the Flying Fish, Chris Fischetti looking strong.
Chris Fischetti out of Lake Havasu City, Arizona, won the world title in the ski division back in '90, but today he's on a runabout.
We're going to take a look back at this start and follow it all the way through that first slap sequence. Right here you can see him come off the line real strong. Then as they work their way down through the split, right there Sheldon real tight on that buoy, but as he comes up on this next buoy, takes the boat very wide. That loses a lot of time on your course as you're trying to get through. Meanwhile, on the other side, Fischetti hugging the buoys real tight, staying hot on the throttle, working his way right down through the course. He gets to the bottom of the front straightaway, makes that big right-hand turn, and what happens? Chris Fischetti comes out ahead of Victor Sheldon.
So Victor Sheldon has to sit back behind Chris Fischetti's wake, and here it happens again, and this time it's Minoru Kanamori who uses the inside line to his advantage.
Again, that inside line seems to be working great for these riders today. Sheldon hasn't realized it yet, and it's costing 2 positions.
Victor Sheldon and Minoru Kanamori, both Team Kawasaki XI riders, but once they get on the water, I don't think Minoru Kanamori cares who his teammate is. He is going to take any position he can get. We are 2 laps into moto number 1, the 785 class, Santa Barbara, California, and the standings look like this. It's Fischetti, Kanamori, Sheldon, then Tom Bonacci in 4th, and Brent Flambert's in 5th. We'll have more racing right after this. The West Coast Performance Nationals are brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. Welcome back to Santa Barbara, California. Stop number 3 of the Budweiser Jet Sports Tour, the West Coast Performance Nationals, co-sponsored by Nissan 4x4 Trucks. Todd Harris along with Chuck Kuntz and Larry Rippenkroger. And there you see our current leader, the Flying Fish, Chris Fischetti. Right behind Fischetti, it's Minoru Kanamori, then Victor Sheldon, Tom Bonacci, and Brent Flambers.
And this West Coast fisheye cam just gives you a fantastic view of the race course. You really get an idea how fast these runabouts are moving.
Chris Fischetti moving in excess of 60 miles an hour. Boat number 1, the defending world champion Minoru Kanamori out of Kobe, Japan, now living in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, has settled into the 2nd place position, and he will start to push Chris Fischetti.
After that big win in the Washington round, Minoru's been kind of quiet, but now he's back running strong, running in 2nd place, trying to track down the fish, but the fish just keeps pulling away.
Another interesting note, Chris Fischetti likes to stand almost the entire race, where Minoru Kanamori likes to sit. Interesting difference in riding styles. Let's check in with Larry Rippenkroger with more on that. Larry.
Thanks, guys. One of the things we're seeing in the pits this year that is innovative is the way the machines are custom tailored to match the rider's style. As an example, here on Chris Fischetti's practice boat, they've changed the steering head angle, moving it much further forward. You'll notice Chris's riding style, he stands up much more so than the average sit-down rider. With this steering head angle change, that allows him to get up over the ski with a lot more leverage. Also in the seating area, they've raised the seat up substantially, narrowed it so Chris can grip it with his legs to hang on. Because when you stand up like that, the G-forces in the turn make it very difficult to stay on board. With this seat raised up so high, Chris is able to grip it and hang on and stay with the machine. In the rear of the seat, another interesting note, an air intake port goes down, ducted through the seat, down into the engine compartment. Also, it's very light, very lightweight foams used to construct the seat. Some interesting things happening this year. Back to you.
Thank you, Larry. Back to racing action. It's no one's surprise, Chris Fischetti standing on a sit-down.
Well, as Larry pointed out, this is a favorite crossover style from the ski division riders to the runabout division riders. They tend to stand more during the race, where the older, more veteran, established runabout riders sit down going around those turns, so the lateral G-load doesn't affect them so much.
Meanwhile, Tom Bonacci picks off Victor Sheldon, and it looks like Victor Sheldon has taken off his seat engine cover. He's got problems.
Victor Sheldon has cast that seat aside so the engine can breathe better. That would tell me the exhaust is coming apart, and that affects the way the engine performs when it can't get good, clean oxygen.
So Victor has gone from a hole shot back to 4th position. Tom Bonacci, the latest one to pick him off. And Victor, a great rider, but having some problems. Tom Bonacci, boat number 7, the Bullet Marine Sea-Doo out of Brea, California, and he has been charging all year long. He is definitely someone to watch out for.
Tom Bonacci picked up a 3rd place overall finish in Washington last week. In San Diego, he comes up with a 2nd place podium finish. So the bomber is moving right up through the standings. Kanamori still attacking the course and trying to get the fish.
Well, Kanamori is running out of time as we come up on last lap. And for Chris Fischetti, he's just got to hang on, keep Kanamori behind him and Tom Bonacci, and hope his boat stays together. But right now, Chucky is looking very smooth, very clean.
Chris Fischetti just running an excellent race so far, as we saw earlier in the slow-mo. Tight on the buoys, hanging right in there. He continues it right through the race, running a fine line almost on a rail around the track.
Canamori right behind him, and it looks like he hits the buoy, misses it, has to circle back around, and Tom Bonacci will move into second place.
A bad place for a mental mistake from Minoru Kanamori on the last lap, hitting the buoy, having to circle back and pick it up, giving the spot away to the bomber Bonacci. We're going to back this tape up and take a look in a replay. Hits that wave, launches himself up in the air, gets back under control, but cuts short at the buoy, runs over the buoy. That puts him out of control as he circles back around to pick up the buoy in the proper order of rotation. Has to let the bomber go through. Bomber goes to second place, Kanamori to third.
Tom Bonacci, right place, right time. Minoru Kanamori only has a few more buoys to try to pick him off and get that spot back. But one thing for sure, Chris Fischetti will win Moto number 1. A great race for the fish.
Meanwhile, back on the course, Bonacci is going to get the second place finish. Come over, a little congratulations from the fish.
So it goes like this: Chris Fischetti, followed by Tom Bonacci, Minoru Kanamori, and Victor Sheldon. When we come back, we will talk to our winners. Stay with us. Welcome back to Santa Barbara, California, the site of stop number 3 of the 1995 Budweiser Jet Sports Tour. This week's stop has brought new elements to the tour in the form of waves. But moments ago, it was the flying fish, Chris Fischetti, that made his own waves by taking the checkered flag for Pro Runabout Moto number 1. Larry Rippenkroger is down with our winner in the pits. Larry.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Chris Fischetti, the winner of Moto number 1. Last weekend, you were the most consistent rider out there. This weekend, you may just be the fastest rider out there.
Yeah, you know, the track's really rough. I'm staying on the gas. I won the first moto. We got another one to go. I really ran my boat hard. My Sea-Doo XP West Coast Prep rocket ship boat's working really good. We hope that it goes just as fast in the second moto.
Now, you're fast in the smooth water. In the rough water, though, your style, standing up a lot, that seems to work really, really well out there.
Yeah, I have converted from a ski to my Sea-Doo, and I've adapted some of my style and some of my technique to my runabout, which is basically a giant stand-up out there, and it's working today.
Well, you look good so far, Chris. Good luck later on.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Chris Fischetti, but he's putting on a bit of a happy face, Chuck. Not all is well at home in his camp.
Well, Todd, if you remember back at the very beginning of Moto number 1, Chris took this look down at the engine compartment of his boat, and this was the result. An engine change feverishly taking place, a damaged crank in the boat, and that's necessitating this rapid readjustment. New motor going in to be ready for Moto 2.
While they make busy in the West Coast tent, let's now take a look back at what happened in today's freestyle competition.
Ken Wood found himself in 5th place again this week. The waves here in Santa Barbara provided a bit of spice for the competitors, giving each their own chance to fly.
After picking up a mysterious stomach bug and being hospitalized for some time last week, Lloyd Berlew took 4th place, and after his routine, his fatigue showed he needed to be helped to the beach.
After reports of Mark Sickerling practicing in the waves of Oceanside last week, he showed everyone that he still knew how to fly. His high-flying act was good enough to put him in 3rd place, and the crowd seemed to like it.
Jeff Kantz was not about to be left behind, and he showed everyone that even he could go for it all. As the pioneer of the barrel roll in competition, Kantz dusted it off and went for it. Good enough for 2nd place.
Showing a great mixture of tricks in his routine, Rick Roy took 1st place and moved himself into the overall lead. His choice of routine seemed to help in this week's competition.
I practiced the barrel a lot last year, and now I try to work on different things because I think I've got the barrel set up, and now it's time to work from something else because everybody's trying to copy, and I need to find something else new.
Great job, Rick. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Rick Roy talks about getting a new routine, but I say if it's not broke, Chuck, don't fix it.
That's right, Todd, and the standings look like this. Rick Roy on top with 52 points, and then that tight battle for second. Kantz with 49, Sickerling with 48.
Congratulations to Canadian Rick Roy winning his first freestyle competition of this year. We are now set for runabout moto number 2, and you've got to like Chris Fichetti's chances.
Chris Fischetti put in a fantastic race, did an excellent job, but got to watch out for the bomber Tom Bonacci. Came from 4th place to pick up a 2nd place finish. I like his chances. If he can get a good start, it could be real interesting.
All right, let's go down to the line for moto number 2.
Well, the big question right now underneath the hood of that West Coast Rocket Ship Racing Sea-Doo is, did his tuner, Pops Fischetti, get everything back together right before this race starts? The rubber band snaps. They're off. The West Coast fisheye cam showing us what's going on. Sheldon shuts the door on him, but to the first turn buoy first, the Mac attack, Chris McCluggage.
So it's Chris McCluggage on the ProTech Yamaha boat 187 out of Naples, Florida. Gets the whole shot, breaks it off right in front of Victor Sheldon. Looks like Victor Sheldon's got his problems worked out from the first race, and Chris Fischetti will have to settle back in the pack. Right now it is all Chris McCluggage with Victor Sheldon right behind him.
When Chris McCluggage made the move to the runabout class at the beginning of this year, he was tagged as the man to catch, and it's taken to the 3rd round for Chris McCluggage to get that ProTech Yamaha to the front of the pack, but right now it's there.
Unofficially, we've got McCluggage, Sheldon, Stevens, Bonacci, and there is Chris Fischetti, boat 300.
Well, it's real interesting to see that boat number 300 sitting right up there in that 5th spot. That means Pops Fischetti, his tuner, did the job he needed to do. Different engine characteristics built into different boats. Luckily, they picked the right combination to make this backup system work.
So as Chris Fischetti tries to work his way through the pack, he's got 4 riders ahead of him, all very good, especially that man. Chris McCluggage, 187 out of Florida, a very strong rider, one of the most tenacious riders in personal watercraft racing.
Chris McCluggage is like a young Iron Man. This guy does not show any fatigue. His cardiovascular training has got to be far and away superior to anybody else out on the course, and it shows.
We'll be back to Santa Barbara right after this. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of stop number 3 of the 1995 Budweiser Jet Sports Tour, the West Coast Performance Nationals, co-sponsored by Nissan 4x4 Trucks. Todd Harris along with Chuck Kuntz, Larry Rippenkroger, and that man, Chris McCluggage, the leader of moto number 2, the ProTech Yamaha out of Naples, Florida. He is followed by Victor Sheldon, John Stevens, Tom Bonacci, and Chris Fischetti.
Chris McCluggage doing an excellent job just keeping that ProTech Yamaha out in front, working his way down through the inside of the split. Sheldon went to the outside. McCluggage running a great tactical race, and suddenly he makes the big mistake, runs over the buoy, has to circle back, pick it up, try to get going in the right direction, and there goes Victor Sheldon into the number 1 spot.
All day long, Victor Sheldon has been choosing the outside of the split course, and that time it paid off. All he needed was one mistake by Chris McCluggage, and Victor Sheldon on boat number 200, the Team Kawasaki XI, he takes over the first place position.
And out onto the backstretch, McCluggage now trying to track down Victor Sheldon. Sheldon now looking real good, that number 1 spot where he was earlier in moto number 1. Makes the turn around the yellow buoy, heads onto the backside of the race course, and oh no, something's gone wrong with Victor's boat.
Victor Sheldon once again looking like he's having exhaust problems. The seat comes off, and Chris McCluggage reclaims the first place position.
Boy, McCluggage couldn't have asked for things to happen any better. A mistake on his part loses that lead. Then Victor Sheldon's boat lets go. Another exhaust problem, trying to let it breathe, but this time the boat doesn't seem to be coming up to power.
Well, Victor's got to let that one go. He's got to worry about this man, John Stevens.
John Stevens on the Ludwig Performance Yamaha making the move over from the Kawasaki camp is finding himself an excellent ride here in his 2nd race on this tour, as he's now in that number 3 position.
John Stevens back in familiar ground. He is a former national champion in this division. There was a time, Chuck, when he dominated. After Stevens, it's Tom Bonacci, then Chris Fischetti and Bill Pointer Jr. out of Laguna de Guel, California, and they have got a great battle going on right here. On the last lap, Chris Fischetti led him by 1.4 seconds. And as they get ready to go down the backstretch, we will get a time differential on them again. We'll get the freestyle timing machines clicking, but I can tell you right now, Chuck, I don't think Chris Fischetti has got a 1.4 second lead. Start the clocks now, stop them, 0.8 seconds, and Pointer is charging.
And Pointer is charging indeed, coming right up alongside the Fish. Drag race on the backside of the race course. Fish doing a little bit of bumping. Pointer has to back off as they come into this hard right-hander. Now the split section of the course comes into play.
Chris Fischetti opts for the outside. Bill Pointer Jr. goes to the inside.
And right now, if they stay the way they are on the course with Tom Bonacci in front of Chris Fischetti, Bonacci will get the overall win, but Fischetti's got his hands full of Pointer.
As they come down the front stretch, there you see Bill Pointer cutting right in front of Chris Fischetti. It's a drag race down the front. They come together, and it's the white flag lap.
Bumping on that front straightaway, but Bill Pointer gets the spot. The MST Rossier Engineering sponsored Sea-Doo XP takes the position away from the Flying Fish.
So Chris Fischetti drops back yet another position. Tom Bonacci has virtually sewn up the overall for the day, barring any problems. And let's go back and have a look at this. Some definite fiberglass warfare going on out there.
We'll get two looks at this little bumping incident right there's the way it looked from the spectators, and this was Chris Fischetti's view.
As Chris Fischetti and Bill Pointer Jr. get to know each other a little better on the course, it's back to our leader and the winner of the second moto of the day in the 785 class. It is Chris McCluggage. And taking home the win overall in the class, it is Tom Bonacci winning. They are two great friends. We'll be back to talk to both of our winners right after this. Budweiser Jet Sports Tour has been brought to you by West Coast Performance Products, better by design. Welcome back to Santa Barbara, California. Stop number 3 of the Budweiser Jet Sports Tour, the West Coast Performance Nationals, co-sponsored by Nissan 4x4 Truck. Moments ago, the two friends celebrated the two winners. Tom Bonacci gets the overall. Chris McCluggage gets the Moto2 win. Let's go to Larry Rippenkroger.
Thanks, guys. Chris, first big win in the 785 class for you. How did it feel?
Larry, all I can say is my Protec, Wave Raider, it was a day for it. And, I won the second moto. First moto was a little rough, but, hopefully I get this third overall.
Now, it looks like you guys are making a lot of progress every week. You seem to be getting a little more comfortable with the machine. They seem to be making it go a little faster. Is that the case?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I've had a lot of time on it this year already, but, Dallas, Mike, Matt, Dave, everybody, Thomas, they just work their butts off, and, I owe it all to them. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. And, what can I say, but they're the best.
Great job today, Chris. Congratulations, and good luck next week.
Thank you very much, Larry.
The overall for the day goes to Tom Bonacci out of Brea, California, with a great day for him and his team. He is followed by Chris Fischetti, McCluggage, Kanamori, and Pointer. Let's go to Larry Rippenkroger, who's got our winner.
Thanks, guys. Well, once again, consistency is the key. The man on top this weekend has had to pay his dues for a number of years. This has got to feel real good, Tom.
Oh yeah, it feels great. Getting 2 seconds. I didn't win a moto, but consistency is gonna play a big part the whole year, and it's nice to win the overall.
Now, you've struggled last year with some injuries. You're stronger every weekend. You seem to be more at home with the boats every weekend. You look a little faster out there. Is this maybe a little warning to the competitors for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I'm the healthiest I've ever been, and my Bullet Marine Sea-Doos are just flying, and I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm going to be there. I think everyone knows I'm there, and I'm just looking forward to the next race.
Great job today, guys. The whole team, congratulations. Back to you.
Thank you, Larry. That's it from Santa Barbara, California. Next stop, number 4, Fort Lauderdale Beach, Florida. For Chuck Kuntz and Larry Rippenkroger, I'm Todd Harris. We'll see you next time right here on ESPN.